You ever felt like a ghost in your own life? Not dead. Not even dying. Just fading. I didn't leave. I wasn't kicked out. I didn't pack a suitcase or slam a door. But somehow I disappeared. Quietly. Without a scene. Like a sigh lost in a crowded room. I remember the exact day it started. Monday. 9:17 a.m. Trevor's kitchen. Our mug sat on the counter. His said, "Hustle hard." Mine said, "Hot mess." And that morning, I realized I hadn't spoken a full sentence to him in 3 days. Not because we fought. Not because I was giving him the silent treatment. But because he just didn't ask anything. And I forgot how to start. Tried. I really did. I asked how his presentation went. He nodded. Said, "Good." They liked the graphs. Then scrolled Instagram like I wasn't even there. I laughed. Soft one. Trying to break the ice. He didn't look up. That's when I felt it. Like I was wallpaper. Still technically in the room. But no one noticed the pattern anymore. I went to the mirror. Stared at my reflection. Same girl. Messy bun. Tiny freckle under my left eye. Slight smudge of mascara. But something was dimmer. Not on the outside. Inside. Like my own light switch had flipped too low. I walked to work in silence. Headphones in. No music. I wasn't trying to punish myself. I just didn't want more noise. I passed Kara by the elevators. She didn't say hi. She looked right at me, I know she did, and then smiled at Lauren instead. Like I was air. Like I didn't exist. Funny thing is, smiled back. Out of habit. Because that's what ghosts do. They haunt politely. Later that afternoon I got a Slack message from Zach. "Need you in the 3 p.m. sync. Don't be late this time." No hi. No thanks. Just that. I replied. "Got it." But I wanted to type. "Got it, sir. Will be sure to breathe exactly when permitted." Course I didn't. I showed up to the meeting. Took notes. Said smart things that no one acknowledged. Zach repeated one of my ideas 10 minutes later and everyone nodded like it came from God. And I just sat there. Invisible. Mute. Watching myself disappear in real time. Got home late. Trevor was on the couch, headphones in, laughing at a TikTok. I stood in the hallway, keys still in hand, waiting for him to look up. He didn't. I finally said, "Hey." He paused the video. Said, "Hey." Then pressed play again. That was it. No hug. No "how was your day?" No "you okay?" And here's the thing I hate admitting. I cried in the bathroom. With the door locked. With the faucet running so he wouldn't hear. Not because I was sad. But because I was scared. Scared that I could vanish. Slowly, silently. And no one would notice. No one would ask where I went. No one would miss me. Not even me. So I started documenting things. Writing them down. Times I spoke and wasn't heard. Moments I shrank to make someone else comfortable. People who laughed louder when I was quiet. I didn't call it a journal. That felt too soft. I called it proof I was here. I didn't know it then. But that little notebook, those quiet pages, would one day become my resurrection. Not today. Not yet. But this was the beginning. The day I didn't leave. But started fighting to come back. Birthday parties are supposed to be about cake, candles, and laughter. Not the kind of silence that screams louder than words. This was my birthday weekend. 29 years old. And honestly, felt like I was turning into someone else. Someone quieter. Someone harder to see. Trevor didn't get me a gift. No flowers. No text. No happy birthday on Instagram. First I told myself it was okay. Maybe he was busy. Maybe he forgot. Maybe I was just being dramatic. But that night, when I walked into our apartment after work, I saw the empty spot on the counter where a cake should have been. And the silence. That deafening silence. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone. Watching everyone else's birthdays light up my feed. Friends with balloons. Family with hugs. Exes with someone new. I wanted to cry. But the tears didn't come. Instead my chest tightened. Like a fist squeezing my ribs. I remember texting Kara. Me. "It's my birthday today." Kara. "Oh. Happy birthday, Em." Me. "Thanks, but Trevor didn't say anything." Kara. "Ugh, he's such an ass." Me. "Yeah. Feels like I don't exist." That night Trevor finally spoke. Not a happy birthday or a let's celebrate. Just a cold "I'm tired." Then he passed out on the couch like a king ignoring his queen. And that was the last straw. Cried that night. Really cried. Not in the bathroom this time. Not with the faucet running. I cried because I was done pretending. Done hoping. Done believing in a love that only took. And in the middle of those tears, something inside me shifted. I didn't want to be invisible anymore. I wanted to be seen. Really seen. And if they wouldn't see me, I'd make them notice. One way or another. I started planning. Not the kind of revenge that burns bridges, but the kind that builds walls. Walls around my peace. Walls that protect me. From journal entry number 5. Maybe I'm not the girl who should change for love. Maybe love should change for me. That night, I slept with one eye open. Not because I was scared of him, but because I was scared of what I'd become. You ever been at a party and felt like the only person not invited? That was me. Kara and I weren't just roommates anymore. She was supposed to be my friend. My support system. But somewhere along the way, things twisted. Started small. She'd laugh at my jokes but then roll her eyes when I wasn't looking. She'd celebrate when things went right for her, but barely noticed when I needed a win. One night, I threw a small get-together for my birthday. I invited some co-workers, a couple of close friends. Kara said she'd bring wine. She didn't. And when I asked her about it later, she shrugged. Whatever, it's not a big deal. But it was. Because the night wasn't just about me. It was about all of us. And Kara acted like she was the star of someone else's show. She wouldn't clap when I got a promotion at work. She didn't text when I was sick. She was there but not really there. One evening I caught her talking about me with a group of our mutual friends. I wasn't included in the conversation, but the way she said my name, like it was a secret she didn't want me to hear, I felt betrayed. Not because of the gossip, but because someone I called a friend didn't want me to know. So I stopped pretending. I stopped inviting her to things. I stopped sharing. I stopped expecting. One day, Kara asked me, "Why are you so distant?" I looked her in the eye and said, "Because sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you the most." From journal entry number 9. I'm learning that some applause is just noise. And some friends don't clap because they're too busy watching the show. That night, I realized my real battle wasn't just with Trevor or Zach. It was with anyone who made me doubt my worth. Anyone who silenced my voice. Zach had this way of making you feel small without ever raising his voice. He was my manager. Polite on paper. Professional in emails. But behind his tight smile was something cold. Something calculating. He'd say things like, "That's a cute idea, Emma, but let's go with something more polished. You're really emotional in meetings. Are you okay? Maybe let Mark present next time." He's a bit more assertive. He didn't yell. He didn't insult. He just erased. Little by little. Decision by decision. Until I stopped speaking up. Until I stopped pitching. Until I sat in meetings like a ghost in a dress. And the worst part. Everyone saw it. And no one said a word. One day I worked for weeks on a campaign deck. Late nights. Research. Design. Strategy. I poured everything I had into it. At the presentation, Zach stood up and said, "Here's something the team and I worked on." Team. Not Emma. Not she created this from scratch. Just the team. Smiled. Plastic. Like a Barbie with a corporate badge. After the meeting, he patted my shoulder like a coach after benching his star player. "You're doing great, Emma. Just keep it steady, okay?" He nodded. And inside I screamed. That night, I walked home in heels that blistered and a heart that bled. I remember staring at the ceiling, whispering, "I used to be proud of what I created." Zach didn't just take credit. He took my voice. From journal entry number 13. The worst kind of thief is the one who steals your confidence and leaves you apologizing for being robbed. I stopped waiting for someone to stand up for me. 'Cause no one was coming. And that's when I realized, if I wanted justice, I'd have to write it myself. They always say curiosity killed the cat. But in my case, it exposed a snake. It was a Thursday. Office mostly empty. I stayed behind to polish a report. Zach had left his laptop open in the conference room. And Slack. Still signed in. I didn't mean to snoop. At least, that's what I told myself as I walked by. But something pulled me. A whisper in my chest. "You've been quiet too long. Just look." So I looked. And what I saw changed everything. Zach had a private channel with Mark and a few others. Oaks. Comments. Things no manager should ever put in writing. They talked about Kara, my friend Kara, and how thirsty she was. They called another girl promotion bait. And me. Emma's too soft for leadership. She's cute but boring. Probably cries in the bathroom. Oh. My stomach turned. Not because they thought I was weak, but because I had let them. I had handed them my silence. And they had fed on it. So I screen recorded everything. Every message. Every emoji. Every disgusting joke. I saved the video to a private drive. Labeled it smile.zip. Because that's what I'd been doing. Smiling through it all. And from that moment forward, the game changed. I wasn't just hurt. I wasn't just angry. I was ready. Not for some loud, messy, explosive revenge. But a calculated one. Low. Precise. Lethal in silence. From journal entry number 18. They thought I was harmless. But they forgot. Storms start quiet too. I walked into work the next day with coffee in one hand. And fire in my chest. I smiled at Zach. He smiled back. He had no idea. He was already burning. You know what's scarier than someone who wants revenge? Someone who plans it in silence. That was me. After I saved the Slack logs, I didn't act right away. Rage is loud, but I needed to be quiet. Controlled. Precise. So I built a plan. Piece by piece. Week by week. First. Information. I started paying attention in a way I hadn't before. Not just to Zach, to everyone. Who arrived late. Who disappeared after lunch. Who drank too much at happy hour and said things they shouldn't. I wasn't gossiping. I was gathering. Patterns. Weaknesses. Leverage. Then came trust. Played dumb. Acted softer. I let Zach think I was cute but boring. He stopped watching me. Which meant I could move freely. I reconnected with coworkers he ignored. Especially the ones he underestimated. Rachel from HR. Luis from IT. Even Mark, who was half guilty and half desperate for validation. I didn't threaten. I didn't bribe. I listened. And in return they talked. I found out Zach was sloppy with his expense reports. That he'd been forwarding client leads to a side project with Mark. That he'd made a pass at an intern during a company retreat. Which Rachel knew but couldn't prove. Till now. 'Cause I had receipts. Screenshots. Voice memos. Timestamped Slack conversations. The intern's story. All quietly collected and saved. I kept it all in a folder on a private drive. I labeled it closure.pdf. Because this wasn't about drama. It was about closure. And while I built my case, I worked on myself too. Gym at 6 a.m. Therapy every Tuesday. Fresh haircut. Stronger boundaries. I was healing and hunting at the same time. Then came Kara. My ex-roommate. My ex-friend. She didn't know anything about the plan. But she saw the shift. You've been different lately, she said one day. Like sharper. Smiled. That's what happens when you stop apologizing for existing. And you know what's funny? The more I healed, the less I wanted revenge. And the more I wanted justice. Not just for me. But for every woman Zach had belittled. Every idea stolen. Every smile faked through gritted teeth. From journal entry number 24. Sometimes you don't need to destroy a man. You just need to hold a mirror to his rot and let him do it himself. I wasn't scared anymore. I was ready. Started with one email. Not a rant. Not an emotional outburst. Just titled Concerns Regarding Workplace Conduct. Sent to HR. Proceed to legal. Anonymous but detailed. Screenshots. Testimonies. Patterns. Inside it was everything. Zach's Slack messages. The sexist jokes. The intern's statement. The expense report inconsistencies. And the client leads quietly rerouted to his personal email. I didn't sign it. I didn't need to. Truth doesn't need a signature. After I hit send, I didn't celebrate. I didn't even smile. I just closed my laptop, stood up, and went to get a chai latte. Because sometimes peace looks like knowing you've already lit the match. And walked away from the gasoline. The next morning, HR called a surprise team meeting. Zach wasn't in it. Whispers started like wildfire. He's on leave. There's an investigation. Did you hear about the intern? I said nothing. Just sipped my chai. Waiting. By lunch, I overheard Rachel say, "There's an outside firm involved now. It's serious." Outside firm. Perfect. That meant accountability wasn't staying in-house. It meant someone had to answer. And then the phone calls started. Mark looked pale. Louise stayed late. Kara avoided me. I didn't push. I didn't pry. I just observed. Like a hunter watching the herd feel the first raindrop before the storm hits. And then, the moment I didn't expect, Rachel from HR walked past my desk, paused and said, "Hey, you're doing okay, right?" Her eyes lingered. Knowing. He nodded. She nodded back. And in that tiny exchange, felt it. I wasn't alone anymore. From journal entry number 29. Sometimes justice isn't loud. Sometimes it walks in on quiet feet. And brings the truth with it like a scalpel. That night I slept through the whole night. No nightmares. No grinding teeth. No rage. Just rest. Because the first domino had fallen. And I knew exactly where the next ones would land. The next 3 days felt like watching glass crack in slow motion. You hear it first. Then you see it spread. Then it shatters. Zach was placed on administrative leave. Unpaid. Indefinite. The company didn't say much. But they didn't need to. The silence spoke louder than words. People whispered. But no one defended him. Not really. Even Mark, his sidekick, started distancing himself. I always told him not to joke like that. I didn't know it was that bad. He was different when we started here. Cowards. Meanwhile, I became a ghost. Not because I was hiding, but because people didn't know how to talk to me anymore. And that was fine. I wasn't here to be understood. I was here to be heard. Rachel pulled me aside one day. "Hey," she said. "Just between us, thank you." I didn't ask how she knew. I just said, "You're welcome." The intern who Zach harassed. She sent me a LinkedIn message. "I don't know if it was you, but someone saved me from quitting this field entirely. Thank you." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I cried. Softly. Not because I was sad, but because for the first time in a year, felt clean. Then it got worse for Zach. Turns out, the side project with client leads. Illegal. Breach of contract. Company threatened litigation. Mark folded like wet paper. Turned over everything. Zach had no allies left. On Friday they cleaned out his office. He didn't even come in. A box of his things was dumped on his front porch. And me. I stayed calm. Professional. Silent. Because the truth is, I didn't want to gloat. I wanted closure. And now I had it. From journal entry number 33. Let karma handle the punishment. You just make sure the truth has a microphone. Zach never reached out. Never apologized. But I heard he tried to interview somewhere else. Word got around. Industries smaller than he thought. No one would touch him. He vanished. And I stayed. I didn't just survive. I won. Silence. Not the uncomfortable kind. The kind that hugs you after chaos. I remember walking into the office Monday morning. No whispers. No tension. Just quiet. And sunlight through the window. Felt strange. For a whole year I lived in survival mode. Hyper-aware. Braced for the next blow. Now, I didn't know what to do with peace. I tried to go back to normal. Answered emails. Sat through meetings. Ate my lunch quietly. But something had shifted. I had shifted. People were nicer. Polite. Careful. Too careful. I wasn't scary. I was just proof. Proof that one voice could burn down a tower. One afternoon Kara approached me. Not with fake kindness. With guilt. "Emma." I should have said something. I knew what was happening. I didn't yell. Didn't cry. I just said, "You still could." And walked away. I wasn't angry. I was just done. With excuses. With small talk. With people who disappear when you need them the most. I started running again. Sunrise. No music. Just breath and pavement. Every mile felt like a piece of armor I didn't need anymore. I was shedding the girl who flinched. Becoming the woman who stood tall. I wrote a letter. Not for Zach. Not for Kara. For me. Dear Emma. You did it. You spoke when it was hard. You stayed when it was lonely. And you walked away when it was over. That's strength. That's growth. Don't forget who you are now. Not ever again. Love. Me. I burned the letter in my kitchen sink. Watched the words curl into ash. Not because I regretted them. because I'd already absorbed them. From journal entry number 40. Victory isn't the loudest cheer. It's the quiet knowing that you were right to fight. That night I took myself out to dinner. Table for one. No phone. Just wine, steak, and silence. And for the first time in forever, I didn't feel alone. I used to think revenge would feel like fireworks. Big, loud, bright. But it didn't. Felt quiet. Like standing alone after the storm. With the rain gone and the sky just clear. I wasn't celebrating. I was breathing. People think healing is a moment. Like a light switch. One day you wake up and boom. A hole. But it's not. Slower. It's crying when you don't know why. It's laughing and then feeling guilty for laughing. It's walking through the ruins of what hurt you. And realizing you're not scared of the ghosts anymore. The letter that changed everything. A week after Zach's final exit, I got a letter from corporate. A formal apology. Paper. Damn. We recognize our failure to protect you. We are committed to change. I didn't frame it. Didn't show anyone. I folded it in half and tucked it away. Because their apology wasn't my closure. My survival was. I started going to therapy. Not because I was broken. But because I was tired of pretending I wasn't. My therapist asked me once, "What does safety feel like to you?" And I said, "Not flinching when someone calls my name." I moved out of the apartment. New city. New space. No shared walls. No shared memories. I bought a little cactus for my windowsill. Named it Spiky. Because growth doesn't always look soft. And then, I started writing. Not a blog. Not a novel. Just small truths. Sticky notes on the fridge. Journals filled with messy handwriting. Sentences like, "You are not what happened to you. Being angry doesn't make you wrong. Some bridges need to burn. It's how you light the way." One day I read a quote. She remembered who she was, and the game changed. Stopped me cold. 'Cause that was it. I didn't become powerful. I remembered I already was. Forgiveness. Let's talk about that. People asked if I forgave Zach. If I forgave Kara. I didn't. Not in the way they wanted. I didn't hug it out. Didn't send peace signs. I just stopped carrying them with me. That's forgiveness too. Letting go without inviting them back in. And then, something unexpected happened. Got promoted. Not because of pity. Not because of noise. But because I was damn good at my job. Because I'd proven I could handle storms and still keep moving. Now I mentor the new girls. The quiet ones. The ones with unsure eyes. I tell them, you don't have to be loud to take up space. But when you speak, mean it. From final journal entry number 50. Fire didn't ruin me. It revealed me. I'm not scared of heat anymore. I am the heat. Last month, I walked past the building where everything began. Paused outside. The glass doors. The familiar logo. The same lobby I once walked through with shaking hands. Smiled. Not out of bitterness. Out of gratitude. Because I wasn't that girl anymore. I didn't just survive the fire. I became fireproof. A new city. A new chapter. But the same Emma, just untouchable now. Not because nothing hurts. But because now, nothing controls her.